meeting to order. Today is Thursday, August 13th, 2026, and it is 5:30 p.m. At this time, we're going to have an invocation from Councilwoman Trujillo and a pledge of allegiance from Councilman Carrasco.
Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight and for the opportunity to serve our community. Please give us wisdom, patience, and open hearts as we discuss the matters before us. Help us to listen to one another, respect different perspectives, and to remember that we are all working toward the same goal, a stronger, safer, and better community for everyone. May our words be thoughtful, our decisions be fair, and our work be guided by cooperation and a spirit of unity. Most of all, remind us what an honor it is to serve the people who call this community home. Help us never lose sight of the families, friends, neighbors, and future generations who are counting on us to do what is best for our community. May we leave tonight having listened a little more, understood one another a little better, and worked together a little stronger. Bless this council, our community, and every person we have the privilege to serve. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, if you have your cell phones with you, please put them on silent. And I will open the floor for public comments. This is a time for residents to share with the council any comments, concerns, or complaints that they may have. Each speaker is asked to limit their time to 3 minutes. Please come to the podium and state your name for record-keeping purposes. Your comments should be directed to the City Council as a whole and should be related to city business. We ask that everyone remain civil and avoid profanity, threats, or personal attacks on individuals. If comments become disruptive, stray from city business, or violate these rules of decorum, I may pause or end the speaker's time so that we can continue with the meeting. The public comment period is reserved for members of the public. Council members cannot speak during public comments as public speakers, respond to comments made, or get into discussions on any public comment. Such discussions require an agenda item. I'll open the floor for public comments. We have no public comments. We're going to go on to our consent agenda. Review of the expenditure report and approve expenditures exceeding $15,000 for the Pecos Economic Development Corporation in accordance with Section 9.4 of the PEDC bylaws.
On these incentives, I just wanted to let you guys know it's encouraging to see these long-standing businesses such as the Jaques family and the Castillo family benefit from these economic incentives. These businesses have been amongst the local businesses here since day one, right? This is before the energy and the oil boom. So it's very important we continue to support our local businesses and provide economic incentives for all businesses in the community. And they're the backbone of this community, and I believe by them being the backbone, they helped create the jobs back when before all this boom was here, driving the investment and contributing to Pecos. So good job on that.
And if I might add, you can tell from 2023, 2024, and 2025, we've gone from the $20,000 limit up to $50,000 with the qualifying factors of number 1 and number 2. So we've ratified number 1 and number 2. We're just waiting on the board or the council's approval if you chose to let us move forward. And then, of course, the councilman and mayor, number 3, is the participation of the ESL, which is the English as a second language, through the coalition of the Permian Basin. Workforce development, really, we have a lot of individuals that would like to work, but they don't have the skills, so we're going to try and help them out with, hopefully with the county as well. And then I think it's an agenda item for you all to deal with at a future date.
Make a
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Graham, a second from Councilman Carrasco to approve our consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. We are going to skip to item F5. Discuss, consider resolution 26-08-02R, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute and negotiate a professional services agreement with Sports Facilities Company for the management and operations of the Pecos Cyclone Ballparks. Strategic Goal 6, sound governance and fiscal management. Nicole.
Mayor and Council, City Secretary Wendy Lujan. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction behind the RFQ process. The city initially advertised for the bid, which we have brought back to council with the city's recommendation. We have then since then been asked to go out for a second advertisement, which we did so. Since then, we did receive 2 different bids, which are included in your packets. Staff has gone in individually and evaluated each of the 2 companies, individually scored. Since then, we've also set up interview meetings with each of the 2 companies. Staff has gone in together. We've also included the mayor in these meetings, both the interview and the meeting where we convened our ideas. So we have a recommendation put together that Ms. Nicole will share with you guys.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Nicole Farini, Interim City Manager. I asked Wendy to walk us through the procurement process just so that we could all refresh on where we have been with this particular solicitation. A lot of staff time and thought has gone into the recommendation tonight. After the due diligence of the 2 separate RFQ submittals, as well as the interviews with the 2 proposing firms, we are recommending tonight, we are asking that the City Council allow us to negotiate and ultimately, should we be able to reach terms, execute an agreement with SFC. Our recommendation is based in all of the scoring that was conducted per the procurement process. So first with the 2 written proposals, I can say in summary that in both the interview and the proposal cases, SFC scored significantly higher than the other firm. We want to thank VenueWorks for taking the time to bid. If you all recall, the first time we did this, as Wendy mentioned, we only received the 1 proposal, and that was why we went out a second time. So we thank VenueWorks. While their proposal was strong, we found that it lacked the experience specific to a facility like Cyclone and a community the size and scale of the town of Pecos City. And so when I ask you for authorization to negotiate first, we will also be asking you tonight to share with us your preferences for hard negotiation terms with SFC as we move forward. Should we be able to reach those terms, we will ultimately execute. If for whatever reason we cannot reach terms with SFC based on your guidance and recommendation, we will be bringing this item back. So at this time, I'm happy to receive comment from the council and receive guidance regarding the terms of the negotiation that you'd like to see.
Well, I know that I have had concerns that their concession stand is not making profit. To me, concessions should be, I mean, I'm not a food and beverage person, but to me, the concession stand is where you should be making money. I know that every time I go to a ball game, kids are eating candy and drinking Cokes, and so all of that should be bringing in extra revenue above the cost of the goods. In all of our meetings, I said I've never been to an event at Rockhound Stadium in Midland that I didn't pay a gate fee, and I don't think I've ever been to an event at Cyclone Ballparks that I had to pay a fee. So, you know, that may be a revenue stream other than depending on the town of Pecos City to pick up any budget shortfalls. So there's got to be some, revenue generation from them to offset
Yes, ma'am.
the costs.
And I will say in response to that, that we will absolutely focus with them on the financial projections of the facility. It is also of great concern to us that we stay within the budget that is allocated annually, and that we really focus in on generating revenue and frankly, ultimately getting the facility into the black, if you will. I will say that it is my understanding that neither proposal projected an in the black pro forma, but that is something that we want to work with them on during this negotiation.
Carl, what are they gonna do different to what they've been doing? You know?
So we have some representatives from SFC here tonight. I'm not sure who's prepared to speak to the council. Anyone?
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So I think I would like to turn it over to SFC. I don't want to speak for them in terms of what they would do differently. I can tell you, sir, as you come on up, that there are some things that we will expect to be done differently. I think that we are absolutely looking at the marketing and bringing in tournaments and events, keeping the facility booked consistently. These are some of the things we're looking to be done differently, but I would turn it over. And sir, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the council.
Sure, good evening. I'm Patrick O'Brien, Senior Vice President for SFC. And it's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. Just a couple key things that we're going to focus on is utilization. Increasing utilization through, in our proposal, we proposed 8 new tournaments, throughout the course of the next year. And then also just increased leagues, local league play. We're doing some good things there, but expanding on that and increasing that, wherever we can. Some non-sport events. We tried a few concerts. We want to continue to evaluate that and consider that. But just in general, the utilization aspect, and to your point, Mayor, getting more people there, right, driving, and then thus driving more concessions revenue. Specific to concessions, focusing on margin, focusing on food cost, improving food cost, evaluating vendors, making sure that the vendors that we have, which we're confident in some, but we're evaluating others, to make sure that those vendors are servicing us properly, and we're getting the right cost relative to the cost that we're charging, to drive the proper margin. I think that's extremely important. And in terms of operations, just setting up the right structure, making sure we have the proper leadership in place, the proper team members in place, the proper training. We're going to improve in some of those areas. We're doing some great things, and there's things that we need to shift and improve upon, and we're steadfastly committed to doing that. We're already working on that, and so that kind of goes hand in hand with the utilization specifically, and then the concessions aspect. On the marketing side, partnering with CVB, partnering with city resources more intentionally. Again, I think we're doing some great things now, but just continuing to double down and improve upon that, and partnering with the right resources locally and regionally in order to drive more exposure, in order to market our events better, in order to have a bigger presence, more following, more engagement with the community, and just make sure that Cyclone is known, right? Make sure that Cyclone is known locally amongst the tournament circuit, of course. So just some improvements there as well on the marketing side. That's another part of our plan. And then, continuing to listen. What does the community want, and how can we serve the community better through events at Cyclone? By listening to the community, listening to stakeholders. Again, I think we're, the tree lighting and things like that. How can we do more of that to embed the fabric of the Pecos community into Cyclone. That's another major focus for us going forward.
Thank you for that, sir. And I
Sure.
would also add, just, sir, and I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to say that we're also restructuring, as you all will know, internally. We are leveraging Visit Pecos a lot more than we have in the past. The partnerships that you were speaking about, looking at, additional oversight and support in terms of getting that word out. We do still feel as though the bulk of the marketing burden needs to be negotiated into that contract, but we are better positioned as the town of Pecos City to support that through Visit Pecos. So go ahead, sir, I didn't mean to stop you.
All the stuff you said, I've heard before, and it just, are you going to change management that's currently out there? Are you changing, you have plans to change the management? And how are you going to, feedback or a checklist that what all you said, that's going to happen?
It change is absolutely on the table in terms of, just every position, the structure of that team, that's being evaluated. It will be evaluated, sir. Yes, sir. And the plan that we laid out that, was communicated and walked through in the interview process, it's very detailed. And our plan is to, month by month or, on of course, week by week as well in our reporting structure, but to report that to you all in progress, specifically, getting granular specifically with the outcomes that we're trying to achieve and that we're said that we're going to achieve.
You didn't answer
Yes,
me
sir.
on the management part, though. What are you going to do about management?
It's being evaluated. Yes, sir. And change it absolutely could happen.
Could?
Yes, sir.
What I will say, sir, to that point is that, during the interview process, when they laid out the reporting structure that they wanted to adapt, I think I shared this with some of you all as we led up to this meeting. As we negotiate the contract, the original contract really didn't hold to some of those success metrics. And so we're looking to embed those metrics. That's another reason why I'm looking for the feedback from the council. I think I know what some of those things are, but we want to embed that. And so those become contractually binding measurements of success as we move forward.
When all this dream started, about 8 years ago maybe? Everything that everybody was saying was that we're in the middle of it, Paso. Yeah, I believe. Build it, they will come. That was the theme. Has now transpired. And that's what I want to see, is how could these people? We're in the middle. And that was the whole dream of this whole concept, this whole complex. It's yet to happen. We've been operating in the red the last 2 years.
I think you've had a blank check, basically,
Yes.
like an unlimited budget to just operate, and it's not really working. We're gonna try, but then nothing ever changes. And that's really disappointing because that cycle should be full every weekend,
And I'm kind of disappointed.
at least twice a month.
Because actually, I probably still will, but no. It's had 2 years, 3 years to perform. The performance is not there. Metrics are no metrics, If I had plenty of time, Mr. Graham was pointing it out. Management, was it management really? I mean, you guys were out of sight, out of mind. Y'all are from where, Florida, right?
We're based out of Clearwater, yes, sir. But we have a representative here once a month.
Well,
Yeah.
through our meetings, the only time they showed up in my view is when something went away, It's something, the people set the fires, so somebody comes down to Pine Quail, try to put out the fires, and we're still back at square one, not being financially sound, lack of tournaments, so, and like the mayor said, your snagging question would be the meat and potatoes of this. And we're not seeing that. So I'm not comfortable with you guys. Sorry.
I guess on average, we probably lost $1.5 million to $2 million a year. So it's got to change.
Yeah, that's something we won't be able to put back in the hot tax, pay back the loan. That we need.
I'm not sure that I can verify that specific number. I think what I can tell you is that we are still servicing the debt on the facility through hot funds, and then we are funding, and it is budgeted for the upcoming cycle for $1.5 million once again in FY '27. So that number I can verify.
But that is for maintenance at the park, though, basically.
That includes the contract and the operation and maintenance of the park, yes.
So some of my concerns, I've already addressed them. I've personally never addressed them to you. Usually Jessica comes over.
Yes, sir.
But one of my biggest concerns was the air conditioning. I've been in council 1 year, and in my first month, I went over there and the air conditioning was out. The west side. It's still out. That's unacceptable when you have staff working in unsafe conditions, especially with 101 temperature. You're exposing them to heat-related illnesses. And a lot of things that I look at are common sense things, as well as an icy machine. Everybody wants a slushy, and if it's down for a year, then could you imagine all the profit we lost in a year? And that is a simple pinpointed item that you could literally see with your own eyes if you're an active individual that goes to the cyclone and say, hey, this machine's been down a year. How much money did we lose in that year? And that's one of the hottest selling items, right? So those are some of the things of concern, but as in what the rest of the council is saying is the oversight and accountability of boots on the ground. We had a Little League season this year, and that was a perfect opportunity to learn from that, to see what your facility will look like full. And I really didn't see management there during those hot times, meaning that is the perfect time for someone to go in there and say, okay, what can I learn? We also learned there was, basic things such as no access to handicap ramps. So those things can be fixed immediately. So those are just common sense things that we cannot teach to just see, to say, hey, what's holding us down 1 year on an air conditioning? If company A, B, and C ain't cutting it, let's go find company C, right? And I can't tell people how to do the jobs. We done proven that the proof was in the pudding when we brought that tournament last month because of a disconnect of communication. What that meant is we had one of the biggest tournament directors that was upset with your company, and all we had to do was break bread and talk to him. We made amends, and we proved a $1.6 million economic impact because of lack of just approaching somebody and saying, hey, what went wrong and how can we fix this? That's just business 101. So those are some of the things that we've proven that we can have tournaments. Is just when you're not oversight or accountable to come once a month and just everybody's going to clean up when it's time for you guys to come, and everything's going to look good, and then when y'all leave, it's back to normal. So those were some of my major concerns, really, is it is possible. We've proven that about 3 months ago, and we just need to be more involved and make the phone calls, the marketing phone calls, and find out who are the big players in this area, keyword this area, and how do we get them to cycle. That's all I have.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I talked to the team about the HVAC today, and that is getting fixed next week.
That's been a year.
Yeah, which agreed, that's not acceptable. That would not happen again. And the icy machines, we have a national director of food and beverage. It's a new position for us. He is directly engaged with our operation now, and he is going to help leverage not only in that specific item, but in the entire food and beverage operation.
It's also been a
Yeah.
year, too, of lost sales of ices. And that's the hottest ticket item right now at the Cyclone is everybody's always buying slushies.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I'd like to, has everybody got any more questions? I'd like to make a motion to consider Resolution 26-082R, resolution authorizing the city manager to execute and negotiate a professional services contract with SFC.
Can I ask one quick question? What's the terms of the negotiation? How many years? We're not going to give it.
That's something we can talk about during negotiations.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We want a long term.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilman Carrasco, a second from Councilman Graham to approve Resolution 26-08-02R as presented. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed?
We've given enough time.
Because the fact that if we don't approve this, we're going to be left with no management at the ball park. Correct?
If you all vote no tonight, we would have to default to negotiate with the next in line, which is Venue Works. And we would have to bring that back to the council.
But in the meantime, we will have no management at the ball park.
I believe that's correct. Savannah, is the agreement right now is expiring?
Expiring, but it is my understanding that we can opt for a month-to-month management until we do procure new services.
So we would hold on to that in that month-to-month fashion. We would try to negotiate that with SFC until we could get potentially an agreement with Venue Works, the next responsive bidder.
To see, get somebody from Venue Works here to, I think we've given, we put a lot of money and trust to SFM, and I don't think.
I'm going to vote no. I'm going to vote against the resolution. I agree with Valerie, with Councilman Trujillo. We have given y'all ample opportunities. We've brought all of this back to y'all multiple times.
So then the direction is to execute a month-to-month until we can activate a new agreement. Staff will reach out to Venue Works.
And who, if I may ask, of these 5 gentlemen and the 4 gentlemen and young lady that are local? Are local. And y'all work out there. Y'all work out there. How many of you work out there at the cyclone?
I do.
You do?
Yes, sir.
I'll stick to my word, it's been plenty of time, and nothing's been done, nothing's ever been accomplished really. The
So we will.
failure to success ratio.
Yeah, and the Christmas tree lighting was successful because of the community, honestly. It was, all the schools have to go out there. It wasn't because something that SFM put together and came up with the idea for the lighting, unfortunately. It was because it was there, and that's why it was so engaging, so. That's all.
But you get the month-to-month started and
And we will reach out to the next,
talk to them.
excuse me, the next proposer, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll go to item F1, recognition of the 5 and under Pecos Little League softball girls for their 2026 season. Strategic Goal 5, promote open and consistent communication at Nebraska.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to wait for them to get up here and come into the front.
I'm gonna sit through all the boring stuff.
So tonight, it is my privilege to recognize the members of our Little League 10U Softball 2026 team for an outstanding season and pride they have brought into our community. Throughout the season, these young athletes demonstrated determination, teamwork, sportsmanship, and I could scoot down those more, and passion for the game. They came to every practice ready to learn, supported one another through challenges, and competed with heart every time they took the field. At a young age, they have already learned valuable lessons about hard work, dedication, accountability, and believing in one another. Their success is a reflection of the commitment of coaches Luis Licon and Jennifer Licon and coach Jesus Salgado, as well as the unwavering support of their parents and families. To the players, you have given our community something to celebrate. This team won district, and if you want to open up your sectional championship banner. They also won sectional championships and made history as the first 10U softball team to win at a state level game. They battled the defending state champions with determination and fell 1 run short playing an extra inning. Having had the honor of coaching some of these girls, I have seen them firsthand and their growth with exception of becoming great softball players. On behalf of the City Council, the Mayor, and the residents of our community, we congratulate you on an amazing season. We're proud of everything you have accomplished and look forward to watching your continued growth and success in the years ahead. Do you want to state your name and your position that you play? And the rest of it. Yeah, right. So, you want to state your name and your position? What position you play?
Oh, I play shortstop and mostly backs. My name is Daniela Salgado and I play catcher.
My name is Gianna Carrasco and I play pitcher.
My name is Madeline Madrano and I play first base.
My name is Amelia Armendariz and I play left.
My name is Angelis Hernandez and I play second.
My name is Madison McGowan and I play third base.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been watching Little League Baseball, the championships are going on right now. So the girls softball also, fast pitch. I hope to see all their Monday on ESPN, so I can say that's Pecos.
That's right.
Maybe we get a photo with you. Yeah, quick photo with your girls in the back.
You guys are having a lot of time.
Okay. No one up.
Congratulations on a great season, girls.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Great work. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Mother!
Your plus degree heated. That's I think it's like
Okay, we will go on to item F2, discuss, consider a request to the Planning and Zoning Board from property owner Yvonne Patino for a zone change from a commercial 1, C1, residential 2, R2 on the property addressed as 219 East C Street, legally described as Lot 17 through 20, Lot 44, North Pecos, in the town of Pecos City, including lots 17 through 32, Block 44, North Pecos. Sophia Gomez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sophia Gomez. This was taken to P&Z on the 29th of July. They made the recommendation to approve this as it is contiguous with the current land use in that area and the surrounding area.
Questions? Mayor, I make a motion, we approve F2 as presented by Sophia Gomez.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilman Graham to approve the zoning request for Ms. Patino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Go to item F3, discuss, consider a request to the Planning and Zoning Board from property owner Miriam Noriega for a zone change from residential 2 R2 to commercial 1 C1 on the property address as 428 North Ash Street, legally described as lots 28 through 31, block 60, North Pecos, in the town of Pecos City, including lots 17 through 32, block 60, North Pecos. Sophia Gomez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sophia Gomez again. During the meeting on July 29th, the Planning and Zoning Board made a motion to deny this request as it was just changed to residential.
So it was commercial and then it went to residential?
Yes, it was commercial at first, it was C1, and then it got changed to residential after a petition made. And during that time, after we received this request to change it back to commercial for an event center to be created on the property.
Is she planning to do anything with the property?
Right now, the current, if this were to pass, she would want to do an event center on there. The residential owner, the one that requested the first initial residential use, he is already in the works of getting his manufactured home on the property.
I'm confused. So they're gonna put a manufactured home, but they want it changed to commercial to put an event
No,
center?
those are two separate owners.
Oh.
So it was originally changed, and you guys approved it to
Oh,
residential.
okay.
Yes, and now they're coming back and wanting it to change back to commercial.
Oh, so that they could put an event center
Yes.
right there. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So we're,
Any more? I make a motion that we deny the proposal as described. What's the other one is permit?
I'll second.
We've got a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilwoman Trujillo to deny the request from Planning and Zoning for property owner Miriam Noriega. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with Councilman Graham voting no. Against. Okay, item F4, discuss, consider the town of Pecos City employee health, dental, and vision insurance premiums for fiscal year 26-27. Strategic Goal 6, sound governance and fiscal management.
Mayor, I'm sorry. Mayor and Council, Assistant City Manager Heather Ramirez. On this item tonight, I invited Mr. Joe Denton. He is with Acrisure. As you know, Mr. Denton does serve as the city's benefits broker and advisor. I invited him tonight to kind of discuss with you some of the things that are in your packet, kind of what's happening today in the market, about the city's current coverage, some different things we've discussed during our meetings between me, Joe, and the HR staff, and also what the renewal would look like.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Joe Denton, and I appreciate the opportunity to walk you through the renewal, and please ask any questions that you have. That's what we're here for, okay? To support town of Pecos City, and give you a little background on myself. I've been working in the employee benefits arena for 36 years. I started right out of college working for a company like Blue Cross, and became a broker after being in the industry for 2 years, because as a broker I can bring multiple carriers to you. I can bring the marketplace to you. And I was really looking for long-term relationships with clients, as opposed to just being with one carrier. If you fire the carrier, then we're done doing business. So I've had the pleasure also working with the town of Pecos City, I believe, 14 years. I was selected, consultants were asked to come in and to present. And at that time, the group was self-funded. And I don't know if anyone was at that meeting, but I think it was well attended, let's just say. Because again, a lot of the employees not only work here, they live here. And they were going to be impacted by any changes that were made. So fast forward to where we're at today. Just to give you some insight, there's about 350 brokers in the United States that are part of an ecosystem called Health Rosetta. Health Rosetta has a philosophy of transparency. It's very hard to find in the healthcare arena. A lot of collusion in the healthcare arena I'm not going to digress and get into tonight. But one of the challenges that we see is I don't think you can watch TV for a couple hours and not see an advertisement for a prescription. Okay? Now what they don't tell you on those advertisements is what the cost of that prescription is. So I'm going to shed a little light and open up some eyes tonight. The most popular prescription in the country 2 years ago was Humira. Humira cost, depending on the dosage, between $8,500 and $17,000. What does it treat? Psoriasis, ulcerative colitis, and Crohn's, and also rheumatoid arthritis. Okay. That was the #1 prescription in the United States. Now we're looking at Ozempic. We're looking at Mounjaro. $900 to $1,000 a month. But there's also, you'll see an advertisement for Cosentyx. It's about $22,000 a month. So currently, prescription costs are going up much faster than medical inflation is. But that's all part of what goes into your costs that you're paying. So I provided some information tonight that I hope provides some useful information to you. But PricewaterhouseCoopers does a study. They do what is called the annual medical trend study, and they're the most respected, highest respected, along with Kaiser Family Foundation, predictor of what the healthcare trend is. Healthcare trend is medical inflation. Things that are inflationary and deflationary. And one of the biggest challenges is when you look at the cost of medical services going up. We have a lot of doctors that are retiring. Going into family practice, you're going to lose money unless you work for a hospital system. And so as the population of our physicians shrink, we have less choices. When you go into the doctor, doctors they need to see 30 patients a day just to break even. How much time do we get with it? Very little compared to what it was 10 years ago. The other thing is specialty medications. We have a lot of specialty medications for a group this size within our plan. So PricewaterhouseCoopers, last year 8.5% was the medical trend they predicted for 2026. This year it's increased to 9%. Now I will tell you, last year when PricewaterhouseCoopers came out with 8.5%, the Wall Street Journal did an article about 2 months later that said medical trend really was about 10.5%. Their study was not entirely accurate. Again, the various factors that play into this. So the other thing I want to go through, and it's privileged information, it has been de-identified, the information, but I think it really enables us to have a productive conversation about what are we looking at and why. Because I think, insurance companies are notorious for giving you a rate increase and not explaining why. It's my job to cut through the what, okay? One of the reasons why I'm part of Healthcare Rosetta is to be an advisor at Health Rosetta, you have to demonstrate over multiple years that you are advocating for your clients. You're doing everything you can to fight for them. Okay? I don't work for an insurance company. I work for Acrisure, which is a global broker, global advisor. I don't work for Blue Cross. I don't work for United Healthcare. I work for the city. I work for the town of Pecos City. Okay? And I have about 180 groups that I work with, like Pecos, and I have an incredible team. And I think if you asked anyone who has dealt with our team over our history, Martha Gonzalez, my right-hand person, to will be 23 years. Jack Romero has been with me almost 11 years. English and Spanish, they're both bilingual. And then we have other team members that support us, including a technology team. Okay? And we do a digital enrollment. just to, again, expedite it, but also for security. So we have that backup support with the Affordable Care Act requiring employers with over 50 employees, eligible full-time employees on benefits, to file every single year the ACO reporting. The online enrollment tool that we use and have embedded in the program for probably 4 or 5 years takes care of all of that. Okay. But what I want to go through is a report that you see that looks like this. Okay, it has been de-identified. What de-identified means is there's no names, there's no dates of birth, there's no anything on here. So we can't isolate and determine who is that person. Okay?
Can you speak a little louder, sir?
Sure, absolutely. So the report is published by Blue Cross every single month. Okay? And it shows us in this report a lot of critical things, but it's not really transparent. Because you're going to see there's a medication that may cost the city's paying $16,000 a month, but what they don't tell you in here is that Blue Cross is getting a $7,000 rebate from the pharmaceutical company. If you're self-funded, the town of Pecos City gets that $7,000 rebate. Okay? We're fully insured right now, which means we pay a cost to Blue Cross no matter whether the claims are good or bad, and we're never going to get anything back. Blue Cross lost money on us 3 of the last 5 years. A lot of money. Okay. That's part of what we were faced with last year. It was the biggest increase we've ever had. It was justified. Okay. This first page, it shows you medical subscribers. What is the population? What does the enrollment look like? And then when you see medical members, that includes all the family members. The reason why you have so many family members on the plan is because the town of Pecos City makes it affordable. We have done benchmarking, reporting, and we show, compared to peer, what does it look like? It's incredible, especially for a city this size, okay? But with that many medical subscribers on it, the population in general has a high propensity of diabetes in this part of Texas. It just does, okay? My mom was from Mexico. She had diabetes. My brother, he has diabetes. Well, that adds up now. And also the illnesses or kidney failure ultimately is where that goes if it's not managed properly.
Heart disease.
Oh, thank you. Well, we have a person right now who's been on the transplant list for years. Okay? That's about a $500,000 crime. At some point it will happen if his health is good enough. So I want to move to the page that says financial overview in the upper left, financial summary. And I want to point out specifically, does everyone have that page? Okay. So I want to point out specifically that you'll see that 2024 year, there were approximately $5 million of billed claims. For the same 12-month period, 25-26, it's increased about 720,000 or 740,000, significant increase. I'm not going to get into all of that, but I want you to go down to the bottom where it says group liability breakdown. The second one is highlighted. Do you all see where it says pharmacy? So for the 12-month rolling period, 24-25, $470,000 spent on prescriptions. I want to also let you know, we have great compliance with generic usage. You have very, very good. Industry-wide, about 85%. Yours exceeds that. So you have a process that's called step therapy, which means step therapy, everyone has to take a generic unless there's not a generic available. It may be only brand name. But once that patent expires, generics can run rampant. That Humira I spoke about, there's now what they call a biosimilar. There's about 4 biosimilars now because their patent expired. Okay. You can get a biosimilar for $2,400, $2,500, depending on which one you're taking. Now the insurance carriers are saying, we're not going to approve a Humira. You're going to have to take a biosimilar. Okay? Because when you look at the clinical efficacy, the biosimilar responds the same way as the $17,000. Okay? But you can see we've had a massive increase in pharmacy utilization, specifically in the expense associated with that. But when we go a step further, you're going to see what's driving that. Okay, so this next page is very, very important. You're going to see it says financial overview, medical and pharmacy loss ratio. You'll see that page? There's a couple things highlighted on it. On the premium, you see over to the left, the 12-month rolling premium has been basically $1.79 million. Okay? You see the medical claims have been $909,000, and then you see the pharmacy almost $700,000. You come over here, and it says medical loss ratio. That is your medical claims divided by your premium that you spent is 89.7. Okay? Now, let me explain what happened. The next report, and we'll get to it here in a moment, the next report shows what happened in June and July. So when Blue Cross Underwriting initially released this renewal, it came in at 22%. I said, that's not acceptable, don't even send it over. Don't waste my time. I went back to loyalty. I went back to, again, these are recent. Doesn't mean that some of these things are ongoing. And I appealed it. They issued 14%, so they came down. Okay? But when we add June and July in there, the loss ratio is now at 96%. Okay? So it's trending up, which means my negotiating ability just disappeared, evaporated. Because even when they issue a 14% normally, unless claims have gone up the way they have, I can still get a few points off. We have a massive book of business with them, with all the carriers. But unfortunately, we were not in that position. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. Going down to the next page, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I want you to see that there are 5 claimants that have had claims that exceed $50,000. Okay? That doesn't paint the entire picture. Okay? But on the next page, I want you to take a look. All we have is an age range. We have not told you if it's an employee. There's no information on that. But I want you to look over to the right. Neoplasm is cancer, circulatory. Okay? So when you look at that list, I know what the diagnostic categories are. When you see pharmacy paid, I can tell you, I can back right into it, what they are. Okay? Take a look at the pharmacy spend and some of the individuals on the plan. Claims are claims. We're grateful we have such quality insurance, ultimately. And we pray for everyone that has to use the plan. But you can see the pharmacy is brutal with what we're experiencing. Inpatient means people were in the hospital. Outpatient means they had a surgery at a surgery center, or they were in an outpatient facility which did not require overnight stay. Professional means professional services are also when someone goes into an infusion center, and there's what's called J codes. J codes are where the hospital or the infusion center acquire the medication and then mark it up for giving you the infusion at their facility. It's criminal. There are federal laws that are being looked at, or legislation that are being looked at, because it's racketeering. How can you buy a prescription for $3,000 that's used for cancer and charge $13,000 per infusion per week? Per week. Okay? That's what's happening. In the self-funded arena, I'll just tell you, we build custom plans, we have captives. The Texas pool has a captive now. Okay? I've already spoken with them about your group. That was something that we were already looking at a year ago. We knew it wasn't the right time. But we already started talking this year. I know the actuaries. I know the people that develop the plan very well. The strategies that are embedded with that would radically reduce your pharmacy spend because it's transparent. You have to also, with that Health Rosetta, you have to show and write basically a thesis to be approved. And So it's not, when I say this, it's not an arrogance, it's to let you know I'm representing you in the best way possible and completely transparent with everything, okay? Including what our compensation is. We have nothing to hide. We've had a lot of clients for over 30 years. In my business, that's unheard of. But we're sitting with you at that table, okay? So, where does that put us? You see the pharmacy spend, we've already addressed it. The green is 2020, that previous 12-month period. The blue is current, okay? What I want you to do is, if you go to the next page, we talked about generic utilization. You see 88%. It is in line with the national average, but on a group this size, with that many lives, it's normally about 85%. So you're exceeding that, you're doing better. But I also want you to see, when you look at single source brand name, okay, I want you to look at, again, how much was allowed per prescription. $1,859 on average for a name brand prescription. That's crazy. When you look at generics for $13.32. That has a massive impact on our ability to negotiate under the current model. Okay? Now, next page I want to go to, just going to touch on it and then we're going to move on. As I mentioned, we have a high diabetes population within our group. Okay? If you take a look at the first two prescriptions there, Mounjaro and Ozempic, and you go to the bottom, those are both used by, you have to be a pre-diabetic or a diabetic, and you have to provide clinical proof. You have to provide labs that show that your A1C reading, which is your blood sugar, is above the normal limits, and that it has remained above the legal or the permissible A1C. But also, if you're pre-diabetic, that you're getting a coach. You're taking action to prevent you getting to diabetes. And I want to also mention the HR team has recently done a push for something from Blue Cross called Catalyst. What Catalyst is, it is a voluntary, but they really promoted it. They did a good job. I want everyone to be aware of this. Is years, right before COVID, we had done it multiple years. And what Catalyst does is it provides a personal health assessment. We had nurses that were coming here at that time before COVID that were meeting with the employees of phlebotomy. They were taking a little blood, but they were getting a 26-page report. And that was the baseline that we used, and we had that data to evaluate what's working, what's not working, what do we need to focus on, education. They just did that again. Nurses don't come out here, but we had great participation. Thank you, Syra and Heather and Roxanne, because now we've established a new baseline. There's a lot of people that participated in it. It was great to see people rally. A lot of people that have been here a long time remember doing it. We had 2 years of data and then COVID, it evaporated. With this, the employee has to take some action, and they have to do a finger prick. They have to do blood, get blood, so they can take a look at what's going on with that individual. And it has to be UPS or sent back to the lab. So people here are starting to become proactive again. They understand what's going on. Hey, I better take care of myself. This is not sustainable. I don't want to feel this way, right? So that's something that we try to address with education. Blue Cross has free programs. They have coaches. They have weight management, smoking cessation, all free. And we've done that. They've done a good job at sending out the information, and you obviously can't screen who you're going to send it to. It's a mass, communication. But it's a matter of spending additional time with them at the open enrollment and talking to them about it. I know a lot of the employees here. I mean, if you talk to some of the employees, we've been around, we've done this a long time. And I know some of them what's going on because we've been their advocate with clients. It's having open conversations with them to see how we can advocate for them in a different way. The last thing I'm going to just share with you is if you take a look at the page that says specialty drug analysis, I want you just to see the average specialty medication right now is costing the town of Pecos City almost $8,500 per month for a refill. Okay. So you look at a scale, when we talk about, look at the scale, right? Like a teeter-totter. You know, there's a delicate balance, but there's also abuse. And we know the doctors, my wife was a pharmaceutical rep for Pfizer for 15 years. She got so sick of the industry, she just quit. Doctors are still getting incentivized, even though you can't do it. 60 Minutes did a big piece about it. You can't incentivize doctors. But what you can do is the ones that prescribe a bunch of the latest and greatest medications will get an opportunity for a speaking engagement, and they will be compensated for that. That's what really goes on in the underworld. You're not even supposed to hand out pads or take doctors to dinner. But that's what's happening. It's collusion, it's corruption. In the pharmaceutical industry, they're the biggest cartel there is in the world. Okay. What's that?
And legal.
Legal, which is even more criminal. Which is even more criminal. Okay. So that's what's severely impacting us right now. Okay. And some of these prescriptions where you see autoimmune, there are lower cost treatments available. But it's a matter of educating the employees to where they say, you know, hey, I know these other prescriptions can treat the same thing. Can we look for a lower cost option? And being bold, but also respecting privacy, is to have open conversations with the employees. It could be a family member. You know, it's equal opportunity. But I think if some of them knew the actual cost, they would be shocked, number one, and they'd be willing to do something about it. I really believe that. You have really good people working here. And I believe that that would be a step that would help us address and reduce that. And then again, when we're talking about the Texas pool, they buy, there's no markup. You pay a per script fee, that's it. There will still be rebates. You get them all, every cent. Okay? They also, one of the challenges that we had is we went to the Texas pool years ago, and it was a colossal failure. People could not get prescriptions filled. It was a mess. But at that time, the city manager had his own motivation. It was not in the best interest of the employees. That was replaced very quickly. Okay, as soon as we could. If we could have terminated the contract early, we would have. I came out here, and there were probably 110 employees that night. Voluntary, after work, they came because they wanted to voice their concerns. The gentleman from the Texas Municipal League, Texas Pool, came out, and he felt horrible. He felt horrible because of what had happened with this transition. So, Texas Pool has revamped itself, and they're doing it right. They were at the conference I was at, the Health Rosetta Conference, which was 2 weeks ago, in Nashville. If you can imagine, the state of Montana, there's a lady named Marilyn Bartlett, and she's a CPA. But she went in and analyzed the costs of what the state of Montana was spending on their health care. And she shaved $28 million by changing the contractual language in those contracts. CVS came back and said, we're not going to accept that fee. She said, no problem. There's a Walgreens right across the corner. We're going there. If you don't want to participate and play by the rules, you don't need to. Okay? And you can look her up. She's famous now. And she's about this tall. And I call her a gladiator with a calculator. Because she is. That is what's happening. And there's a movement starting. Because people are sick of this. It's destroying, there's no middle class anymore. Every time you get a raise, it's taken because your health insurance premiums are gone. So, where does that leave us? I'm not going to spend a minute on this, but this just shows you those 2 months I mentioned and why our negotiating power evaporated. When you take a look at June and July 2026, that's what drove our loss ratio up to 96%. Now, what is considered a good loss ratio for an insurance company? The government, the Affordable Care Act says 85% medical loss ratio. So for every cent they take in a premium, they have to spend 85 cents in claims and administrative costs. Okay? But if you really talk to an underwriter and they're honest with you, they would say, we'd like it to be 78%. That gives us what we need and enough profit that you're not going to see a wild increase. But that's just not realistic because the medication's heavy. No one's getting it. No one gets 78%, except a group of a body shop that has a bunch of guys that never use the plan unless they get in a motorcycle accident or a fight. They're the ones that have loss ratios like 40%. Not white collar, not municipalities. It just doesn't happen. So it's artificial. It's not gonna. It's never going to happen. And you see what's driving those claims, what's driving that cost. Now, on the Blue Cross, fortunately, my negotiations with the underwriter only used claims through May. So when they started at 22%, I said not acceptable, don't even mention it. We were able to negotiate that down to 14%. Feeling like, hey, if our claims continue, because they had been declining, we can actually get a few more points off that. Try to get to single digit. Our goal was single digit. Okay? We knew it could be 0, but we'd be happy with 9 until this happened. Can't control claims. Okay? So it leaves us at 14%. And I've got the numbers here. It looks very, very small. But the other thing, Blue Cross came back and they said, if you move the dental insurance to Blue Cross, we'll lower the medical rates 2% to 12%. So they were going to use the dental to offset the medical loss by giving you a discount. They were going to get more premium in. And so we show you the numbers there. What does 12% look like? Basically, it was about a $40,000 savings. That 2% represents about $40,000 in savings. But your current Guardian dental plan has a very, very unique feature that Blue Cross cannot duplicate, cannot match. And it's called maximum rollover. Just in layman's terms, I'll tell you what that means. You were also provided a report that looks like this tonight. Okay. This is what the maximum rollover report looks like from Guardian. They've been our dental carrier probably for 12 years. Okay. The reason why they have is we have so much business with them. We have many years they don't get an increase, not even a cent on anything. Okay. Dental, we got an increase this year for the first time in quite a while. Okay. But what dental maximum rollover is, we have a $1,500 annual maximum. That means that Guardian will take up to $1,500 per person on the dental plan per year for dental services. Now, as long as you go to the dentist at least one time a year, so Guardian knows that you're alive and you're trying to take care of your teeth, you're getting your exam, whatnot. If they spend less than $700 per year on your dental services, they're going to reward you and add $350 to your annual maximum the following year. And they'll continue to do that until they've added $1,250 to your annual maximum. Now, I have horrible teeth. I was genetically cursed with my teeth. But I have benefited from maximum rollover. And what that means is basically, I had the same dental plan y'all have. But I had a couple years where I actually had maximum rollover added to me. I'd have a root canal and a crown the same year. Okay. That extra rollover of $700 helped me because they paid 50% of both of those services all the way. I spent all $2,200. If we move to Blue Cross and offer the same exact dental coverage, we're going to lose the maximum rollover. And on here, you can see that we have 69 members, that includes dependents, that have between 250 and 500 added to their rollover. There were 51 new individuals that earned the rollover last year. Not everyone uses the rollover, but it's used every year.
So,
you-
going back to the dental plan, how do you the difference between Guardian Dental and Blue Cross? Guardian's more nationwide, isn't Blue Cross more statewide depending on the availability?
It is regional. They both have networks. They're both pretty similar networks. But here's the challenge. Blue Cross does not have a maximum rollover benefit that they can include in the plan until you have 300 or more employees on the plan. So because we have less than 300 employees, they will not add that to our plan. Okay? That is where the rub is. So looking at this, you have 160 members on your plan that have rollover. Some of them have $1,250. A lot of them. So you look at that and you go, if we move to Blue Cross, we forfeit that. And I think that's really a philosophical decision that you look at and you go, do we want to do that? So does anyone have any questions on anything I've reviewed or gone over?
You mentioned at the start that Blue Cross Blue Shield got a $7,000 discount paid to them. Does that mean they're overcharging?
No, that's for a drug rebate. That was, I believe, what you're
Who
talking
gives the
about.
rebates?
What's that?
Who gives the rebates?
Pharmaceutical manufacturers.
So they're overcharging.
It's criminal what they're doing. Yes, they are. And there's a middleman called the pharmacy benefit manager. You know what the problem is? United Healthcare, they own Optum. That's the largest. Blue Cross is partnered and has ownership in Prime Therapeutics. So they own. We won't let two airlines merge, but we'll let an insurance company collude and buy a pharmacy benefit manager and keep those rebates. No one talks about that. Okay? That is what's going on. So they call it spread pricing. Okay? They're going to buy that prescription for $3,000, and on your claims, it's going to show $16,000. So the pharmacy benefit manager, which is in Blue Cross case, Prime Therapeutics, which they own part of, they're charging the full boat with the spread pricing. So they say it's $16,000. Blue Cross gets part of that rebate, and so does Prime Therapeutics. Okay. That's what's going on within your plan right now, because we have no leverage. We cannot eliminate the middleman. And I'm going to give you an example of what this would look like. For a group this size, it would not look like there's any markup, because they're not. It is what's called a direct pass-through. So whatever the prescription drug costs, that's exactly what you're going to buy it for. Okay, that's what the PBM is going to acquire it for, and you're going to know. And then we have 80,000 employer groups that we're AI. We were into AI before anyone else, and if you look it up on the internet, you'll see. But we're analyzing every single month the population, the management of population. We have our own clinical team, nurses, doctors, we have pharmacists, all of that on our staff. They're looking at these things. For a group this size, the markup would only be the dispensing fee. And depending on, they would look at all of the prescriptions that were taken. They would say, based on a group with 300 lives on it, we're going to charge you $9 per prescription that's filled. Any rebates you get back. They're going to basically buy it at net. And if there is a rebate, you get 100% of it. So it doesn't matter what the prescription, what it is, the pharmacy benefit manager is going to get the $8 or $9 per prescription, no matter what the drug is. That's the only way what we will do when we build a self-funded plan. We have a fiduciary responsibility to protect our clients. So I'm obligated to make sure I spend your money how I'd spend my money. That's our responsibility. It started with 401k. It's now come into health and welfare benefits. We take that very serious. So, sir, right now, Blue Cross and Prime Therapeutics, they're enjoying that rebate. And you get no credit for it. So, did I answer the question? Okay. Good.
Mr. Ramirez, is there an employee survey that goes out for the employees to get feedback based upon these changes that we participate or have participated in the past?
On the changes presented tonight,
Yeah. Do the employees have any input?
no, we don't do a survey to the employees. For this, we do have meetings with HR and finance, and we look at what those renewals are gonna look like, what they're gonna cost, compare it to the budget, compare it to the past. We reviewed what our current premiums are that we charge to the employees, and those are the discussions we have, but no, sir, we don't do a survey.
Do they understand the changes and what they're going to be paying for? Because, I mean, me being a new council member, like, yes, I know this is a decision based upon finances, but they're the ones paying for it. So do they have any input?
No, so we've been working through the budget, and that's what we're bringing this item to you all tonight, because there is an increase. We do have a staff recommendation on where that increase should be, who should cover the increase. I can go ahead and jump into
Please,
that
yeah, please.
if you'd like.
I'm gonna leave that for you.
So, working with the budget and the 14% increase and discussing the dental insurance, we did work, before we knew about the 12% and the dental, we had already been working in the 14% increase into the budget, where the where the city would absorb that increase. And also inside your packet, you'll see, I think it's the next attachment in there, you're gonna see what the current premiums are to the employees. We did play with the math a little bit on if we did decide to pass that increase to the employees instead of to the city. We're thinking like if we added the $50, we have 145 employees, and we did the 50, that would be like an $87,000 increase we pass on to the employees. We came up with the recommendation that we can budget the increase, and kind of as Joe said, we've moved to like merit increases instead of COLAs across the board. So he's right, if they get a little bit of a raise and then we pass the premium expense on or increase the premiums, then that kind of gets taken away. And as Joe mentioned before, we're already discussing what we want to do for next year, because we know this can't go on forever. It doesn't look good. So we've been discussing self-funded and us getting the rebates and all that. So that process has already started. I don't think we can come before council again and ask to absorb another increase. So as of today.
We did last year, right?
We have.
Yes. We have every year.
We have every year.
Since I've been in council, that's always been my proposal. Since we don't pay our employees, we've dedicated employees. I think that's one thing that if we can cover, and I've always said it, we should cover it, but it'll come a time, like you're saying, to where it'll be a little astronomical to cover it, and that's where we have to stop. But I know 85,000 is a lot of money, and it is taxpayers' money, but I feel that the city can cover it. Now, can we continue this next year and the following years? Probably not, but
Okay,
still.
so the budget that we worked through had the 14% increase.
Yes, it already included the 14% increase.
So you said 87,000?
Yeah, it was just a number I threw out there if we increased all the employees' premiums by $50. As of today, I don't know what that number is.
Okay, yeah, I was doing the math, that's all.
It's like 276,278.
It's the complete.
It's the complete 14%.
Yes.
What's the difference between this year and last year's? What's the difference?
Last year, actually, we ended up with almost a 30% increase.
30?
Yeah, and it was justified because of claims that have gone on for 3 years.
I remember.
Unfortunately.
And I'm glad employees are starting to look and taking advantage of the offers that Blue Cross Blue Shield does to better your health, be ahead of it. I had a pretty hairy last 3 months with it myself. And get to the point where all my prescriptions are free because all over I maxed out.
You hit your max out of pocket.
Yes, sir, so, but that's not the way to do it. The best way is to, take care of yourself. So I encourage everybody that whatever programs, because we have Blue Cross Blue Shield while we're, and I get all those pamphlets and flyers and calls.
Sure.
And I chose to ignore them, but here I am. Some things that I gotta reevaluate within myself. But I encourage you, even if you're healthy and young, it's never too late to keep and start changing
You're right.
your diets and your physical activities and whatnot, because when you get to be our age, or my age, I'll just say that, some of the dummies already do.
Yeah. I do want to mention one other thing. I think it's very relevant. The Texas pool now uses the Blue Cross Blue Shield network. They did not before. So that they have built a captive. Captive, basically, got a little collateral. Everyone buys in, part of the insurance company, but there are some groups that they have with one employee. Got about 118 ISDs and then, municipalities mostly. But it rewards good stewardship. So what do I mean by good stewardship? The way that we write the plans are, if you use the Health Navigator to coordinate an MRI for you in an imaging center that is cash pay. If you go to a hospital, it's the most expensive MRI you're ever going to get. That is a massive profit center for them. My wife broke her back 2 years ago. We were able to go pay cash for an MRI. And went in there with the order, went down, went back, got the disc. We paid $450 for that MRI, cash back. When we go self-funded, that's the type of plan we build. We incent employees to find the best doctors and providers. And if they go to them, they don't pay anything. No deductible, no nothing, no out of pocket. So that's what we're talking about doing. We've been talking about it for a few years. But again, the drug issues would not be these drug issues if we were in a plan like that. It's just not. Okay? So that's what we've been talking about. But seriously, heating it up this year, knowing it was not the right year. The risk tolerance would not be there right now. But planning so far in advance that, probably by March, we're looking at projecting what does that look like with Texas. Being very proactive. Because the process when they go in to use the card, they're still going to have the Blue Cross PPO logo on their card. It's not going to say Prime Therapeutics for the drug. It's probably going to say something like Drexel, who is a transparent pharmacy benefit manager. Okay. So that's what we're looking at. So I did want to insert that because as we look at the employees trying to take better care of their health, we're going to reward them even more for good stewardship. They spend your money wisely. They're going to the best providers. Everyone wins. They get a better health outcome. The city's expenses go down. And they have an expert to help them follow it through. Like you had said, you've had a rough time. You would have an assigned person to walk you through that journey, make your appointments for you. That's the next level. And that's what we'd like to look at next year. Thank you all. I'm sorry.
So, Mr. Ramirez, what are we looking at for the package, and what is going to be the cost of the split, if we go split?
If we split and don't split,
If we go employee cost split, what is going to be the?
I don't have the exact number right in front of me, but if we do split it, it would be more than the $50 monthly premium if we split that in.
So it's going to increase $50?
The monthly premium that's in your packet, this is what employees pay right now.
Right.
And just really quick, kind of just going back a little bit, you'll see how it's tiered. You can tell the 3 different medical plans that we offer, which is the HSA, the base, and the buy-up. The way it's tiered, and it's tiered this way for a reason, is if you're gonna do the buy-up, it's gonna cost more than the base. That was something we did, I don't remember, a few years ago, where we increased the buy-up premiums to try to encourage employees to maybe take advantage of the base plan. We have and that's been working, we have very few people. I don't know that.
Every year it continues to drop because I do the math on it.
Yes.
What you pay out of your paycheck, that was very intentional.
Yes, it was.
We made it so high, but we know the people that are signing up for that plan are the high utilizers.
Yes, so
That's why they sign up for it.
So if you want the buy-up, you're gonna pay a premium. We can, let me get my, let me do some.
I can tell you, 87,000 off 378,000. You're looking at about $180,000 that the city would take home if they increase $50 per employee based on the population.
What are you looking for tonight, just to approve this plan?
So tonight, council needs to decide if the city's gonna absorb the increase, or if we're gonna pass some of that on to the employees by increasing their monthly premiums. And also to decide if we're gonna keep the Guardian Dental, or that has the maximum rollover, or if we're gonna go ahead and move to the Blue Cross Blue Shield. Yes, which those employees lose the maximum rollover rate. So staff's recommendation on the dental was to keep what we currently have so that we have enough time to let the employees that are on this list know that they have a year to use this, because there's probably a really high chance next year this fund won't be available to them. And then we did budget the 14% for the city to take on that increase. Yeah, and without raising the monthly premium. But if that is something we want to discuss, that's what's being brought to you to decide tonight.
Any questions? May I make a motion that we approve item F4, the city to incur the price increase and to keep Guardian Dental Insurance as the plan, and to encourage staff to use their rollover monies because next year might be different.
I second it.
We have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilman Graham to approve the increase on premiums for the city to absorb that cost and to stick with the Guardian plans. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and we'll be working diligently on what we're gonna do next year.
Thank you for all that information. It was a very good read. It was very interesting.
I'm glad it was beneficial, and if you do have any questions, I also was asked to be an author in a book about healthcare strategies, who is a bestseller in 2023 from Amazon. I'll be happy to send you all copies of it. Some of the staff here have a copy of it, but I'd be happy to. I'll get everyone's address.
You need to talk to our senators and congressmen, just passed legislature to kill Big Pharma and take away some of the state reps, literal reps, keep them hands off pharmacy companies.
That's who's funding their
The problem,
campaigns.
the problem is, there is more money spent on pharmaceutical lobbyists than any other industry there is. And you're right, I mean, it's about money. I hate to say it, but it's just love.
I encourage everybody to look into how much your elected federal officials are getting paid by these lobbyists and big pharma.
When I say there's collusion, that's not a joke.
No.
Yeah,
It really is. So, Mayor, thank you. Council, thank you very much. I will send you a book, and if you have any other additional questions, I'm here to help, even with your own journey. Okay, I'm gonna give Heather my cards. Okay? Really, I mean that.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you all. Have a good night.
We will go to item F6, discuss, consider ordinance 26-07-01R, An ordinance amending section 2.35, personnel responsibilities of the Town of Pecos City Code of Ordinances regarding hiring, supervision, and termination authority over the director of the Pecos Economic Development Corporation, providing for an effective date and severability. Second reading, Strategic Goal 1, Sustainable Economic Development. Randy Graham.
I wanted this to, second reading, to feel like the Pecos Economic Development deal is coming on the road, especially on this hitting heroes building deal, you know, especially with getting contractors. There's been some irregularities, and I feel like that we need to, would really like to see this passed. So, any questions, comments? Make a motion, we approve.
I'll second your motion.
What was that?
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion from Councilman Graham, a second from Councilman Carrasco to approve ordinance 26-07-01R as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with Councilman Arona voting against. We'll go to item F7, presentation of the Pecos Economic Development Corporation fiscal year 25-26 third quarter report in accordance with section 7.08 of the PEDC bylaws. Strategic Goal 1, Sustainable Economic Development. Jimmy Dutcher.
Mayor and council, you should have the quarter ending June 2026, April to June 2026. The executive summary, the expenditures, short-term goals, long-term goals, financials, and upcoming board priorities in your packet.
Can you elaborate on your current projects?
You bet. With regards to the short-term goals, of course, we're continuously working with the business and recruitment, infrastructure planning, housing initiatives, and that's, as you can tell with the plans and groups that are coming into the town of Pecos City, the surrounding area, the Reeves County, we're going to have a shortage of housing, workforce development, which we addressed earlier with the ESL classes, small business assistance. Of course, there's groups that are looking at expanding, so we're going to need to be prepared for that. Grant applications, there are some individuals that, or some programs that with the state dollars that will come out with the next fiscal year, the federal dollars, beginning in October and typically ending in December or January. So we have a window to help the municipality go after things that they may need. Including some of the brownfields cleanups that we would like to see and take advantage of the development of some of the dilapidated areas that we have. With regards to the long-term goals, of course, the key component continues to be the industrial development outside the city limits or on the far end of inside the city limits. Obviously for the beginning of trying to maximize ad valorem for the town of Pecos City. Along with that goes the infrastructure expansion. With more people in Pecos, with more people inside the surrounding areas, you have a strain on not only the roads, the lighting, the water and the sewer that go along with that. So, and workforce with regards to safety that has to occur with your police department. Workforce development, there's going to be a strain that is already starting to take place with shifting of different jobs or people going from one job to another because of the higher paying wages. The opportunities are there. We all knew it was coming. We've spoken about this for the last 2 years, including the Pecos Power Plant number 1 and 2. They are revving up with their Infineon technicians so that they can operate the engines out there. You have Core Scientific approximately 15 miles outside of town. And we're talking about the things that are going to start to happen outside of just the construction component. We're talking about the actual people that will be given an opportunity to work or expand their skill set. Then you have the commercial growth. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hey, can you give us, not a detailed summary right now, but can you give us an actual written detailed report on what PGI Echo's actually doing?
Yeah, we actually presented at the quarterly meeting, Mr.
Can
Chairman,
we
but I'll
get
be more
one
glad to
here?
send it
Yeah.
to you. Okay.
Is the workforce development, is it recruitment or is it training?
It's actually working with the curriculum as to what each one of these groups are going to need. Now, we know that some of it is electrical, some of it is going to be mechanical work that they need. Today is a prime example. I got a call from Jonathan Harshman that they need 6 apprentices that need to be out working within the next 3 months at Chevron.
For what?
For the data center.
For electrical?
For electrical and the turbines. Now, there's no guarantee that they would get hired, but the whole idea is that we start to train them so that they're out there. Those skill sets are being defined with Pete and those groups, whether it's Core Scientific, Power Bridge, Land Bridge, Chevron, CPV, which is a group outside of Pecos going towards Barstow. All of these, Infinium is another one. They're all reaching out and they're going to be pulling from the same groups until we can increase that population that is trained and wanting to work out in these types of industries. So it's just not the oil and gas or the truck drivers or the operators at the gas plants. It's a combination of a little bit of everything. And with the new technologies of these turbines and recapturing of the energy, the natural gas, repurposing it, you're going to see another level of employment opportunity for people. But we got to make sure that they're trained, that they're being paid competitively, that those jobs are actually being paid out of Pecos and not out of Midland or Odessa or Houston or San Antonio or Dallas. Because all that happens, if the payroll comes from there, they're employed over there. And that employment is being reported into those areas. And some of the things that we've talked about with the abatements or anything else that you consider is making sure that they have their roots here in Pecos. They have their boots on the ground. That's the only way for us to see that tangible change. And we're working with our state representatives and also with the Texas State University system that we don't duplicate errors or shortcomings of others. We want to make sure that we get the credit for the people that are here. These 40, 50,000 people that are working in the oil fields on any given day, and then they're gone for the Saturday and the Sunday. But on those days, if they're being paid by someplace else, or they're coming in from Fort Stockton or Monahans, they're transit workers. We have leakage of tax dollars that is going out. Guess what? They're shopping in Monahans or they're shopping in Fort Stockton or Midland, Odessa. So it's a combination of all those types of things that are going on.
What about your infrastructure expansion? What are you talking about there?
Well, the infrastructure planning and expansion that we're looking at is obviously, we know that there's going to be needs for not only the water lines that are going to come in from on the west side of town towards hopefully the 1,300 acres, but also the sewers that we actually have had 3 groups that have reached out to us. 2 of them want to build hotels, and 1 of them wants to build an apartment complex. The reason for the hotels and the infrastructure that's going to be a drain on that area is because they can lease those hotel rooms to these industries long term, whether people are in there or not. They're going to be able to sit down and rent out those rooms, and then guess what? In 2 or 3 years, they're paid for versus a 7-year payout. And then they start to put it on the market after the die down occurs in 4 or 5 years, if not longer. But we know the infrastructure is going to be in need of the assistance that's going to have to occur between the buildings and that of the services of the town of Pecos City. Keep on the commercial growth?
Yes.
Okay. With regarding to the commercial growth, we already have the 12 acres basically cleaned up. which is right off the triangle. We refer to it as the land west of the Texan, which was old town road and bridge. That's almost ready once that transmission line is bored underneath and the water is taken across underneath the interstate. So there's a developer eagerly waiting to acquire that land. And then, of course, with what's happening on Lincoln East, and then the development of what's going to happen on Lincoln West. Now, there's not as much development that's going to have to go on Lincoln West. But it is also our hope with the commercial growth that we're going to be able to tackle with the federal government's help, the freight village that we've all looked at. Now, is that going to happen in 2026, 2027? I don't know. But I do know that it's one of the asks that we have of our legislators and of our lobbyists to help us with that funding. And then the detail or the downtown revitalization, Nicole and I were able to talk about this, and she had asked, well, what is that? What can we actually do? If you remember, we had an offer for Brownlee. James and Corina decided that they wanted to go ahead and keep it inside a retail component, a hardware store, and they're revamping it right now. But the one thing Mr. Graham and I had talked about a while back was regarding the car museum and finding a way to make it more inviting, more appealing. So that is something that we're wanting to help with, and especially if we can get the right type of lighting that, you know, the council and through extension, I think the Keep Pecos Beautiful group that y'all have worked with, trying to figure out what they might be able to want to do. My vision was it's Mr. Brookshire's to take that same Woolsworth, because it was Woolsworth building at the time, take that same font and light it up, and then take the garage doors that are on there right now and put like what we have at the spot, and then put rope lighting underneath, and then guess what? At a certain time in the night, it all turns on and people get to walk it as y'all are starting to clean up and develop the old downtown.
And Mr. Betchover, if I might,
Go ahead.
for the record, Nicole Fernie, interim city manager, we did have that conversation, and as you all know, as part of our strategic plan, we are keenly looking into how we maximize our downtown footprint and invest in that, not only in the bricks and mortar of it, supporting those local businesses and working with the Economic Development Corporation to be able to do that, but also hosting more events downtown. You all have approved our action to move forward in the restoration of the depot building. That's going to be an anchor to that cultural district. There is also the pursuit of a cultural district designation that we're very much leveraging our Visit Pecos team to be able to pursue. I think also something that Mr. Dutchover and I spoke about yesterday is that we're very much looking forward to presenting those ideas directly to the EDC board so that we can improve that communication and the feedback between the council, the EDC board, and the city manager and the executive director. So we're very much looking forward to that. I think we're also looking forward to seeing how we can, split some of those costs that we're going to be incurring. I think particularly just taking one step back from the downtown revitalization to the infrastructure piece, absolutely prioritizing water and sewer. We have said to you all many times that we have a lot of areas around town that are at a deficit for that, not financially, but in terms of the actual infrastructure itself. We were pleased to be able to partner with the county, and the city brought forward its dollars to complete the water line at Lincoln East, and we're looking at going, trying to figure out how we can find the capital to pursue the other side of Lincoln, and I think that's something we look forward to working with the EDC on. And then also, as Mr. Dutchover mentioned, as we start to get bigger amenities like hotels, even things like the county's new water park, we have big concerns about the ability of our water and sewer infrastructure to keep up with that. And so everything that he's saying is something that we're looking forward to bringing back to their board and being very specific about the needs so that we can collaborate and invest mutually for the betterment of Pecos.
The one thing that is allowed with the Economic Development Corporation is to work with the town of Pecos City for infrastructure needs, and how do we work towards the improvement or the expansion in some cases. But Nicole targeted both. It's just not the areas that are growing or that we're expanding into, but the areas that have the deficit, the deficiencies already. How can we use some of the dollars to make things work and run a lot better? So that is one of the key components of what we're trying to work with Nicole and her team. With regards to the upcoming board priorities, you can see the business recruitment opportunities. We continue to, right now, see the construction component. And that construction component is a lot of these individuals working day in and day out, working anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a day, sometimes 6 and 7 days a week. The existing businesses are retention and expansion. We want those mom and pop stores to be able to expand. But you saw the inflation that even your own consultant for insurance talks about. $20 or $20,000, 5 years ago went a long way. $20,000 today doesn't go very far. And we're seeing these pockets, especially down 285, where some developers or some landowners bought it on speculation and have done nothing, despite their promise to do something for the community. They're holding on. They really are. And at some point, they need to either develop or we need to find a mutual agreement between us, the city, and whoever else might be necessary to possibly buy them out or hold them to the standard that the ordinances say. You got to fix what you got to do. And having caliche and not having dirt and not having gated areas or blocked off, chained off areas isn't doing any good, because you see those 18-wheelers, they just find a place to park. That's what they're all about. And again, that goes back to the freight village, why we really need that for not only for our community, but for the safety of the groups that are just parked along the interstate and highways. The workforce partnerships, Mr. Graham, you touched upon this one with Pete. Our agreement with Pete stops at the end of December. After that, we have worked with these groups that say, look guys, we started this, we're going to go through 2 cycles, one at the end of a college year and a technical school year, the summer, to start to develop a plan of attack as to what they actually need, whether it's a degreed individual or a certified individual or an associate individual, or sometimes high school, to the apprentice that I was talking about earlier. But with that, after that, it's up to those groups, whether it's Pecos Power Plant number 1, 2, Infinium, Core Scientific, all of those are going to have to sit down and work with whoever they want to try and do this recruitment. After that, we've done our part.
And how are you measuring those successes, number of jobs, decreased unemployment, higher wages, number of people trained?
Well, keep in mind, Councilman Carrasco, we're ahead of the game, because right now we are still pushing dirt on a lot of these projects. It is, and I'm going to give you the example that hopefully you'll see. The Pecos Power Plant number 1 and 2 are supposed to hopefully employ as many as 38 employees. 36 to 38, I think, is the agreement. It was either 18 or 19 per structure out there. My understanding from Martine and Ed, the individuals from Pecos Power Plant number 1 and 2, it was going to be a $750 million project. It's they're looking more towards $1 billion that's going to be added to the ad valorem at some point. Now, the TIRZ is a great component, but those jobs, they're already hiring at Pecos Power Plant number 1 and 2. They're getting ready, because the Wadzilla engines, which is, you see them on air on ship cruises, the big ships, vacation ships. That, and plus in Europe, those are the types of engines that they use to take care of their energy needs over there. So we're going to know the numbers. I met with one of the individuals from Pecos Power Plant number 1 and 2, and they're working with their human resource person, and they have 9 of the employees lined up already as to who they're gonna make offers to. Now, that's only 9 of the 38 or 36, depending upon which number you use. But those are gonna be paying jobs from $80,000 to $120,000 a year.
That report I requested, the detail that Mr. Crossman just mentioned, that's what I've been wanting in the report.
Okay.
Actual results. How he's going about this job. You know, he's doing seminars, and where are the seminars located? I want to see a schedule and everything. A lot of detail.
Okay.
Does that investment align with our 5-year capital plan?
The 5-year plan of which capital?
The investment you made with Mr. Gallegos, does that align with it?
No. It was a 1 year. It was a 1 year for through December of this year. After that, it's going to be up to the private industry to work with whomever they choose, whether it's with the Texas State University system, whether it's with Odessa College, Midland College, here the technical school with the Pecos High School. That's all being worked out with those individuals that are saying, count me in, I need the help, including Chevron. They've said we need to sit down and have these seminars and these teams meet. The great part about it is that now that the school goes back and as vacations have stopped, now we get to really get to the bones of what's going to occur, because the Pecos Power Plant 1 and 2 is scheduled to be operational in 2027, May of 2027, and then the other one in October of 2027, if their schedules line up right. The next one, infrastructure planning, we already touched upon that in the housing initiative of development. But the next one is a strategic land acquisition and development. You see people wanting to sell property, and we get a lot of calls all the time about land that is available. And they want us to put projects on their property. That's not what we do. I mean, we're not out there to try to benefit any one single individual. Now, they come with a business plan and they have a pro forma. They want us to take a look at it. I'm the first one to say jump on the bandwagon and see what we can do to make this work. But there is still going to be needed or land for housing. You see, the lots that were vacant before, now they're being the single-family homes are being put up. Finally, and we steer them in the direction of the landowners that have asked us, because that is an important component of what we're doing. So all that we can do is steer them in that direction. Now, with some of the groups, people said it couldn't be done and it wouldn't be done, but the housing component, Aperion, Pecos Power Plant 1 and 2, they had to build 120,000 square feet of living space, single-family living space, which totaled a minimum of 60 homes. So 2,000 square feet times 60, 120,000 square feet. They miscalculated in their approach regarding Jackson Street, and they had brought something to permitting, not and this was the builder. He brought something not realizing that there was covenants. And when they contacted me and said, look, can you help us? No. You go in there on your own. All of this was explained to you at the very beginning. There are restrictions as to what Jackson Street, that cul-de-sac is going to be. And I think after visiting with Nicole and Griffin, and you were there, right? Okay. And the mayor was present. They agreed immediately that they needed to correct the wrong, and they're doing that right now. They should be having the solutions for their exterior the last part of next week and not the first part of next week. So if they come back and they haven't taken care of that, just pick up the phone and let me know. I know you will. The industrial and commercial site readiness, again, that goes back to not only Lincoln Street East, Lincoln Street West, the corridors south of the interstate. Those things they're looking real good, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we have the water and sewer capacity to do what they're asking us, what they're planning on doing out there.
And I think that goes back to, I think, Councilman Carrasco, a second ago, you were mentioning the 5-year capital improvement plan. Our 5-year CIP that we're developing here in city is really focused on how and where we have the need for what kind of water and sewer, what kind of coverage do we need based on the different usages. And I think one of the things that we talked about that we're looking forward to, Council, is really getting ahead of those developments hitting the ground and making sure that, you know, we're laying down that infrastructure well ahead so that it becomes not a reactive asset, but an asset that is responsive to the demand that's coming in and allows the EDC to sell it as an asset. So I think that that's something we're looking forward to. Right now, our CIP is very, I think, structured towards where we are today. And the shift that you've heard us talking about many times is how do we change our perspective and change the level of our investment so that it matches the demand that's coming not tomorrow, but in 5 years. And so I think that that's where the CIP comes into it, and I'm looking forward to working on that with you.
And the other part about it is that if the TIRZs are set up correctly, and I know that we set up the boundaries correctly, but it's the reality of working with the hospital district, the county, the school district, who can only provide 75% of their dollars, the ESD1 and ESD2. The water district is very little, but they're looking at the 100% part, and the only drawback that I've heard from many of them is that we're not going to have a say at the table, yet we're the ones that are giving the money.
But I thought every entity had a representative on board.
They do, Mayor. Keep in mind that it's a 12-member board right now, 7 from the city, and each one of the entities, the hospital, county, school district, ESD1, ESD2, 7 votes yes, 5 vote no, and they're the ones giving the money. That's the only deterrent or the only bad comment that I've heard from anybody. It's not wanting to help, but when you can take those dollars and invest inside that same area, it's a win-win for everybody. So I encourage y'all to look at that and find a solution that works for a fair representation, I guess is the best way I can put it.
And I think it would be beneficial, Mayor, as you and I have discussed, to come back and maybe do a church refresher for the council and talk about how that operates and how we can benefit from it. Not I think the last time y'all talked about it, it was sort of emerging and being created. I think now that it's done, let's talk about what that means today.
And
we can bring that back.
I mean, where the areas are.
Correct.
And what we're talking about.
Because knowing the areas and then knowing what y'all want as an ex-official member, I can guide you as to what we can put there. Industrial, commercial that is going to generate the revenue inside the town of Pecos City. And if the number is right from what Pecos Power Plant number 1 and 2 have told me, and just taking an ad valorem of $1.2 billion that the town of Pecos City is worth right now, it's almost going to double upon its completion. But the additional acreage that is out there with regards to where the laydown yard is, that's going to be the next part that is going to be really beneficial, because that's another 25 acres that is going to be ready to do something with. And as they start to finish up their part, well, now they're just going to be on the north side of Tolliver. What are we going to put on the south side of Tolliver to generate ad valorem for the town of Pecos City? And if you strategically do it right, my recommendation would be is that they don't get the abatement that the first one got. You know, the first one got a very lucrative abatement because they were willing to do townhomes. They were willing to do the pilot. That's not going to be necessary anymore. There's a lot of people that want in, and the things that we're trying to prevent in certain areas is man camps, because they want the prime real estate, and they have a tremendous amount of water use and sewer use, and their dollars are not staying here. They're 7 on, 7 off, 10 on, 10 off, 14 off, 10 off, and their dollars go back to wherever their significant other and their children are. So strategically look at how y'all are gonna do that. That's one word of advice, or a few words of advice.
Talking back on the first abatement, going back to these homes, how affordable are these homes going to be to the community?
You know, that is dependent upon the location of where all these
Jackson
pockets
Square.
are. I don't know that, Mr. Crosmo. I wish I could answer that question of you, but Councilman, it's a supply and demand right now. That if any one of y'all went and asked for the home and y'all gave the down payment, and including anyone in this room, all you have to do is wait for one of those oil and gas men to say, hey, we'll do $50,000 more. Did it make it any affordable? No.
We need to be more strategic about the land use and think about the affordability for our community as well.
And we are. And you know, we've looked at a lot of different structures and types of home that can be done. That homes don't have to be 2,000 square feet. You can do them for 12, 13, 1,400 square feet and still have a 3-bedroom, you know, 1.5 bath and a carport, not a garage. But it's finding the builders that are going to come in here and build. But again, with the lands that we have available, or the lands we have that are big sections, we have to make sure that the water and the sewer can be handled from those types of homes out there. To put a ranchette and take 300 acres of land and put 300 homes, that didn't help us when you need 4,000 homes.
I think that to that point, something that could be beneficial for all of us for a later discussion is to really look at having a comprehensive housing strategy, housing development strategy that incorporates housing choice, to Mr. Dutchover's point, you know, townhomes, ranchettes, single-family homes, apartments, understanding what, what diversity of home type is appropriate for our community and what can we afford. That way that, you know, if someone cannot afford to buy, you know, the home on Jackson Circle, there is an option for them to live more affordably. I think there's also opportunity for us to leverage federal funding. We've had those conversations already with our lobbyist. I think that's something that you're going to see us bringing back, but I think if it pleases the council, I think that's something we can begin to work on very specifically. If the number is, you know, 4,500 homes that we need to get to, I don't really know what the number is. You know, that's something that we can work on together and come back and present to both boards, so that we're being very strategic about what resources can activate what type of housing, right? Because if we build, you know, 100 new homes and they're all out of reach for the regular people in Pecos, I'm not sure that we're achieving the goal. And so I think that's what you're trying to say, and I think that's something we can work on together.
You could think outside the box also, and think, you know, modular housing, tiny homes, all things that I think maybe the council has rejected in the past, that we need to come back to the table and say, hey, this is something that we need to really discuss and work the bigger picture.
But you're saying too, though, doing the abatements is not going to be a good idea in the future.
Not to the degree of what's been done in the past, sir.
What do you mean by that?
Well, why do something for 100% abatement for 5 or 10 years when they were going to come anyway?
That's why I've been asking that question
Okay,
all along.
but at a certain point, to get that attractiveness of what we were able to generate the buzz of Reeves County and the town of Pecos City, especially the town of Pecos City because of its heritage and it's so well known. Once you land the first few, why do it for anybody else? And if you do it, what are they going to provide the benefit to the locals before worrying about the living for the large oil and gas people that already have a home in Houston, Lubbock, Santa Fe, Rio Oso, wherever it may be. And what do they do on their days off? They go back home. So, you know, with the housing authority, I mean, you can actually put limitations if you get the inclusion or the support of the housing authority and say, hey, X amount have to be for this type of people with this type of salary. You know, so now that you have an equal amount of, not, and I don't want to call it low income, but just affordable.
Okay, so you brought up the Pecos Housing Authority. What's their role? What's their role? What are they going to come in and do?
It depends upon what their laws and standards are. if they can participate and through all people sitting together, then you can have a lot of dialogue and say, hey, this is where we need your help out there. It's just not one way of their way, it's just not one way of the EDC way, it's just not one way of the city or the county. It's like, how do we fix these problems that we're gonna have? And they're gonna be massive down the road, but in a good way. It's the correction that will come down the road that will make things hopefully more affordable. Remember the day when we all went to La Tienda? That was the only place to go. And you get options, guess what? Now things are can be a little bit more affordable. So, supply and demand.
And also, housing costs are tied to material costs, labor costs. It's not just something that you can control real easily, because you tell people, build a house for $150,000. Where's the profit to you building a home? You know, it's not feasible.
I think, sir, that that's when we start to leverage federal and state funding, and we start to create intentionally affordable housing, leveraging those that support and that financial offset. And then what you do is you create an affordability period on that property. Typically for federal homes, that's somewhere between 20 and 30 years. And then that way you're really starting to set up generational sort of wealth building and property acquisition. So at some point that affordability period ends, and then the value of that goes up, and the owner of that property benefits from that. But you've created the affordability leveraging the external funding, because you're right, the developer still has to make a profit at the end of the day, but that's where we come in. And I think that's what Mr. Dutchover is saying about the role of, whether it's the Housing Authority or the HFC or other affordable housing related funding sources. If we pair them together, if we have the land and they have the funding, we're able to create a house at $150,000 that otherwise wouldn't be possible.
Well said.
Thank you, sir.
And to that point, keep in mind, because legislatively you want to do certain things, the window is going to be very narrow between now and November and December, because the pre-filing bills come out, and hopefully, the asks have been made from this organization, this council. We made some asks from the EDC component part that will allow us to leverage certain things and find ways to help. But the one critical thing that we all go through inside of Pecos, Reeves County, Pecos Barstow ISD, is those individuals that heard the Pecos Barstow ISD pitch for the new bond, is they're giving money back in the amounts of $200 million plus a year, despite paying for the bonds and fast tracking them and getting out of debt 3 or 4 or 5 years after the plan was approved. The next one is a severance tax, and those are dollars that are issued back to Austin based upon the oil and gas production that happens in Reeves County. If we can ever find a way to get X amount of those dollars back and work with the county and say, will you help us with the infrastructure and help offset those costs, then we have sites that are ready to build immediately on the types of homes that you and all the other entities agreed to. So it's a lot of dominoes that have to line up and fall, but this is a time to get prepared for it. And that brought down to the last bullet of number 6.
I'd be really quick if I could ask you this.
Yes, sir.
On Texas Street.
Yes, sir.
Is anybody willing to sell to build homes there, all those empty lots?
Speculation that they're holding on to, Mr. Carrasco. We did a study to look at how many townhomes, and I shared this with the interim city manager and said, look, this is what you can put on 10 acres of land. This is what you can put on 10 acres of land. And you can see the difference. Now it's selling, whether it's townhomes, duplexes, because obviously the townhomes go up. 1 story, 2 story, and even in one format that we got was 3. So those pockets are far and in between. I don't know if y'all, what y'all are gonna do with the land projects or whatever else y'all still have to deal with later on in executive session. But there are groups that are willing to help us with land, but there are also groups that if we don't buy the land now, you know what's gonna happen to the price. It's gonna keep on going up. And we have to acquire some more. But with the understanding that the infrastructure improvements and capacities are gonna have to be expanded. I hope that, I know that that's not the answer you want to hear, sir, but that's the best one I can give you right now. I don't know what Mr. Zupadia is going to want to do once Crockett moves over. I don't. And we saw what what Zane is doing on that other part. That's huge, but
It's just one house.
it's just one house, so.
Is he willing to,
It's beautiful.
he owns the other side.
Mr.
Is he
Kenny?
willing to sell that, and then also Mr. Salgado as well? Yeah, I approached him to see if we could fill these gaps and start putting homes there.
Are we talking about Jorge?
We were just talking about like those empty lots in Texas. You got the Salgados, you got the Zubadias, and you got the Zanes, right? Are they willing to sell to bring housing?
Zane was not willing to. I think he wants to create his own little subdivision out there, and he's going to build as he decides to. Mr. Zubadia, when we first approached him, he was already working on the process of the land being used for Crockett Middle School, temporary house or temporary classrooms. But it's a good time to start with him, and you know he's been good to the community, so you never know. That's all I have.
What about, and you got your expenditures over 15,000?
Oh, okay, you're right, I apologize, but, okay, so the expenditures on the 15,000, we had 3, and obviously, we entered in, started with the architectural for phase 1. What would that look like, whether it be single-family homes or townhomes? I met with Mr. Carrasco last week and explained to him that we were not moving forward with any more projects until the blessings of the council were given. That was done in April. Then and this is remember this is of the third quarter, April to June. The $20,000 rodeo from the EDC and a $20,000 that was given to us for Permian Power LLC. So those are the ones that were above the $13,000 or $15,000. And then Mayor and Council, I don't know if y'all had the sales tax report, the comparison. We compare the town of Pecos City to Andrews, Fort Stockton, and Monahans because obviously our leakage is in Fort Stockton and Monahans. People driving in and back and forth. But our comparison has always been Andrews. And you can see over the past few years, we've gotten to a point where we were doing so much better than Andrews. I got the numbers today. Andrews cleared $1 million in sales, but they have a lot of things going on. We ended up with about $790,000 in sales, but we're still waiting and we're still trying to figure out why the sales have for the Pecos Power Plant, not the engines, because I think the engines were exempt under Mr. Abbott's or Governor Abbott's rulings, but the others, the equipment, the building, the framing, and all that other stuff, the cement, all of that was taxable. And unless y'all did something in the abatement, those dollars should be coming back to you. And when that happens, I'm not sure. That's really something in finance that y'all typically track. My conversations with Mr. Lino were just be prepared. You know, every other month we were meeting with the people from the Pecos Power Plant to let them know. We want to know when that destination, because it's like Amazon. If the products come to Pecos, Texas, it's supposed to be taxed inside Pecos, Texas. And you don't want to be giving up that 1 cent tax that y'all get.
Who can give us that information?
I will tell you, they would not give it to the Economic Development Corporation. They sent me back to the city, and the city was going to investigate. So
I was just saying to Heather just now, we will take a look at that, and we will come back to you and collaborate on that, and then I will bring those numbers back to the council.
Thank you. What's happening in Andrews? Why are they?
Why are we beating them?
Why?
Why'd they come ahead?
Why'd they come?
This time? I don't know.
Yeah, what's going on over there?
We don't know.
We just opened a new something.
United.
Was it a
Okay,
United?
then that's probably the peak of it.
I'll talk to my brother to stop.
Yeah.
That was back in 2022.
No, they just.
No, they
No,
just
no,
opened
no,
a United.
no.
In
In
Andrews.
Yeah, what happened,
They were
Mr.
ahead of us in 2022.
Mr. Graham, we were given a grace period before we landed over here. The thing that I think the Zubaldillas had worked out with the owners of Lubbock United, and Ken probably had a part of this too, is that, you know, we didn't want to have any competition of a United for a 5-year period. And that 5-year lapsed, and then they announced that one was going to go in Andrews, and then I think in 2 years, one in Mayans. So I think we got a 2-year start on Mayans.
We gotta get on.
What it is. Competition brings prices
Down, yes.
so it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No. What is now, Imperial is getting Amazon AI. Devastating.
Yeah.
Pecos County.
They're gonna use their natural gas the same way we had figured out 3 years ago. They're gonna build it. Now, where they're gonna get their engines, I don't know.
Or the water.
Or their water. I think I touched upon everything.
Financials. And then I asked Wendy on your budget comparison, I asked her to print it out because when it comes across this way, you can't. So that, I asked Wendy to print those out.
Which page were you looking?
The
Okay, but there's a page number usually at the bottom. Is there one?
it was the last three pages of the package.
Okay.
I think it's 10 and 11.
Okay.
Oh, now I see, yeah, 9, 10, and 11.
Okay. And if you look from left to right on the first two columns, you can see 2025, 2026, and then actually what we have received year to date. And that was at the end of June.
On the other professional services, can you get more detail, on this line item? Under surveying,
The professional services?
it says other professional services.
Are you looking at these financials or the other financials? The one I'm looking at?
Page 11.
You have two separate in your packet. You have the one that's attached to the quarterly report, and then you have the budget as the next one.
It's the budget one, so we're still on the other quarterly.
Those are as needed. That's the way that we just never know when there's going to be something that, Mr. Lino at one time, we had talked about the economist, and before we even had a line item in here. And it was that Ray Perryman report that I think was requested and authored for the town of Pecos City in 2018, 2019? Was that about there? Was that, if I remember correctly? So, Mr. Carrasco, we went ahead and just copied, and I think Ken might have had it in there as well. But we decided we would put money, and then eventually we ended up putting a line item for the economist. Because we just never know when we're gonna need that professional service that we don't have.
Mike, does this include expenses on the sale or test drive?
Yes, it should.
Okay, 'cause I was looking under legal fees. I don't see Bobby's.
You're not gonna see it there, Mr. Graham. You're going to see it the way that CNA does it. Let me tell you where to look at. Do you have page 18?
It's on your iPad.
I'll go back and I'll see what. Yeah, okay, Mr. Graham, on page 11 of the sheet that you were having. The way that CNA puts it is if you have the basis for the assets sold, it's about the fourth or fifth line from the bottom, and then it moves over because that was an expense into the property, and that's just the way that it's been set up in the past. So, and that would include surveying at any points, cleanups, things of that nature. When we improve a property, that cost goes in there, or the sale of a property. It might be in the expense, but at the end of the transaction, it goes into the bottom part.
What is other professional services?
Well,
On page 11, on the top.
That's what she's asking.
What?
That's what.
Oh, is that what somebody else?
It's as needed services, and you know what, Mr. Graham, I didn't put an explanation beside it. I didn't know that it would be. I'll look into it and I'll shoot you an email.
Okay. Y'all have any more questions? On F7?
I'll make a motion.
It's just a
Make a
presentation.
motion, it's just a presentation.
It's just a
Okay, I'm like,
presentation. So, y'all have any
let's-
more questions?
Let's move, let's roll. Okay.
Okay, so we will go to item F8, discuss, consider the fiscal year 26-27 Pecos Economic Development Corporation annual operating budget in accordance with section 9.02 of the PEDC bylaws, strategic goal 1, sustainable economic development. Mr. Dutcho.
So if you look at the proposed budget of 2026-2027, there is a section that has the budget, and then it has the breakdown of the sales tax, and to the right of it, the non-sales tax. So in it is explaining the revenues that are received and from what sources. Then you go to the expenses, just like you all had on these pages, the last pages of 15, 16, and 17, or 16, 17, and 18. It's broken down based upon the types of services and expenditures that we have.
So this was presented to your board,
Yes, ma'am.
broken out?
Broken down with the amended budget, this one, the first one. So we had the amended budget here, and then Heather was gone, and when she got back, then I said, keep in mind, we need it this way because the mayor had wanted to know what was the sales tax and what was this.
No, I didn't ask for the budget to be broken out that way. I wanted your accounting, your financials broke out so we know what expenses
Are from each one.
your quarterly financials,
Right.
what expenses are coming out of the sales tax account and
Okay.
the non-sales tax.
And so that's what we did in this part.
So you budgeted more expenses out of your sales tax account than you have coming in.
We typically don't use all of it, but we don't look at it as all sales tax and non-sales tax. So we broke down where the $152,000 profit, we would have $160,000 of it inside the non-sales tax, and we would run as a deficit inside the sales tax account. Did you, Nicole, did you talk to them about the 2.5 million?
Offline, I have talked to some of them, but not all of them yet.
Okay, Matt?
Please do.
So if you go back to the last report, keep in mind there was a land that we sold between the Annex and West Texas National Bank. That is for the new clinic. The credit union, I'm sorry, the credit union. What did I say?
And West Texas.
So it came out to be about $2.5 million. That was the agreement that Mr. Lino, myself, and Brenda McKinney had reached, so that would be earmarked for y'all, for the city, once y'all have determined the land that y'all need to purchase for your new police station, when y'all are ready. In turn, the land where the police station is, we would go after a brownfield and help knock it down and continue that housing that will be at Troy Vines and all the way up to behind Home 2 Suites and up to where the police station is right now. So that's the whole deal of keeping housing inside that, what we refer to as a hospital district. And whether it would be single-family homes or whether it would be townhomes, it would be basically supply and demand. Are we going to use it for government housing, government projects, or are we going to use it for the private sector? At some point, we're going to have to decide, hopefully together.
I think what's really exciting about that, and I did not have the opportunity since I spoke to him to speak to all of you, but that $2.5 million is absolutely targeted at allowing us to relocate the police department, which we've been talking about for some time. I'm very anxious to be able to move forward on that, as I know you all are. We are hoping to be able to bring that item forward, along with how we're going to manage that $2.5 million in the first meeting in September is what we're targeting. Don't hold me to that just yet, but that's what we're targeting right now, because we'd like to finalize the details of that so that we can pull the trigger and move forward.
And mine is a little bit easier because we already know it's $2.5 million. It's just, okay, what is the timeline that y'all would work with?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're right, Councilman. Yes, sir.
I guess I don't know what this, I think it's so Raw's hot reimbursement. It's income, $75,000. What exactly is that?
Yeah, well,
is that pot tax or?
what we did, Mr. Graham, Councilman Graham, is that last year we had, as we worked with the Sol Ross of bringing that rodeo, and the long-term goal, working with the county, working with the city, working with the stakeholders, is we are trying to bring the World Series of college rodeos to Pecos, Texas. That is the whole idea of having Pecos, or the roping arena, the Buck Jackson Arena, and then an open air arena. So one would be enclosed. The designs are going on right now in what we're calling the rodeo district, which is East Lincoln. But we have to do the preparation of getting the momentum going. So we have as many as 4 more rodeos that will come into Pecos over the course of the next year. And then we want to build it up into 6. And then as the contract matures or it stops and is renegotiated in 2029 or 2030, we should be in the position to bring it in. Now, this is a number that Mr. Lino and I had worked with about the possible reimbursement. Obviously, it costs money to bring in the rodeo, but in the first analysis of the $114,000 that we spent to bring them in, we haven't gotten reimbursed back from hot tax. And knowing that y'all have other priorities, I don't think that's going to be advantageous for us to say, hey guys, where's our money? But we're preparing for it for next year, so that if things go good and these hotels continue to be built out, and these hotels are now at about 92% occupancy during the week, then those numbers for the hot tax should go up, which hopefully will give you more money to do projects. Not necessarily with a rodeo, but just with anything. So if we got it back, it would be here. Now, are we going to expend it? It's in here to expend up to 125,000 because we know inflation, and get it back. That's going to be strictly up to this group.
I guess I'm confused. The role of the PEDC is more industrial, more commercial.
And tourism.
But this is tourism.
It is part of it.
And we got somebody on board here in the city, the tourism, and the hot tax committee too, itself. Are we competing against each other, or are we working together, or what?
We worked together, but we knew at that time that would it be beneficial for us to try and do the recruiting out here, and we had the dollars to do it. Mr. Lino had said, yes, I think it's going to be great. He and the judge and the commissioners worked out how this would work, and we did it on a trial basis. Now, I will gladly, y'all do it. I mean, we have in the in this agreement.
Sorry.
We have in the agreement right here, paying AG Aragon, the Sawross coach, to work on our behalf up until the end of December. Well, I think it's January 7th. So up until January 7th, he's no longer a contracted employee of EDC. And it is at that time that hopefully he's going to be picked up on the budget of the county. But we couldn't let a season or a half a year go by with all the connections of trying to get these other rodeo events going on in 2027, 2028, and 2029.
I think I can maybe shed a little bit of light and clarity on that. I don't think that it's either or them or us. I think that we're absolutely, if everyone will recall, Visit Pecos is basically a year old. And so we spent this year really, I'm going to use the word shadowing the work that the EDC did around, particularly the college rodeo, and looking at how, what role is Visit Pecos going to play in the future. We'd like to see that role increase more and more and more. But to Mr. Dutchover's point, the connections and the infrastructure and all of the sort of groundwork has been done, and so we acknowledge that. But I think we, in our hot funds, we do have a line item where we have some flexibility to be able to support those kinds of events. It's not designated for rodeo, but it is a line item. And to his point, we're being very conservative in our budgeting, that what you saw in the budget workshops. If we see more than that, then we can go a little bit deeper with our investment. But I think the real takeaway here is that it's not either or. We are working together, and I think Visit Pecos is more and more going to be taking the lead on those kinds of tourism style events, but we definitely want to leverage what the EDC has built and the connections they have.
We also have a rodeo committee.
Correct.
Does the rodeo, and they've got the expertise.
Yes.
And so
yes,
we should be working with them.
Absolutely right.
And Mr. Graham, they were a part of the process because they needed to know what that trial run was going to be upon the completion of the Buck Jackson Arena. So they, with us working with the rodeo committee and the county, we were able, and the city, we were able to address some of the deficiencies so that we didn't have them on the end of June. So that to Nicole's point, that's exactly right.
So we will, just to finish that thought, I think we will continue to be overly transparent with the council specifically around how we're deploying hot funds and from where and to where, and what we're getting out of that is, I think, the direction that I've heard from you all.
Any other questions? May I make the motion we approve F8, presented by Jimmy Silva, EDC Executive Director?
I'll second.
We have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilwoman Trujillo to approve the fiscal year 26-27 PEDC budget as presented by Jimmy Dutchover. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
We'll go to item F9, discuss, consider resolution 26-08-03R, a resolution appointing or reappointing two Municipal Court Clerks, Heather Ramirez.
Mayor and council, in front of you, you're going to see resolution 260803. This is to appoint and reappoint two municipal clerks. As you know, council is the appointing authority for municipal court clerks according to our ordinances. So we've done this in the past by bringing it to you in the form of the resolution. This resolution is going to be reappointing our current municipal court clerk, which is Miss Monique Herrera, and she's been with us since 2022. And it's also going to appoint a new deputy municipal court clerk, which is going to be Miss Sylvia Avila, and she comes to us over from the police department. So she's been with us for, I think, a little over 7 years.
They're gonna wait to choose employees? What's going on? Why are you letting them go? Just kidding.
Yes, and of course, this appointment will be for 2 years.
Can we get an investigation on this?
So that's what this resolution does tonight.
So I'll make a motion that we approve resolution as presented by Heather Ramirez, Assistant City Manager.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Trujillo, a second from Councilman Arona to approve Resolution 26-08-03R as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries.
Thank you.
Let's go to item F10, discuss, consider Resolution 26-08-04R, a resolution authorizing the establishment, renewal, maintenance, modification, and closure of the city bank accounts and certificates of deposit with West Texas National Bank, designating the city manager or interim city manager and finance director or assistant finance director as authorized city representatives, strategic goal 6, sound governance and fiscal management. Heather.
Mayor and council, what this resolution in front of you does tonight is it is authorizing those 3 city representatives specifically for our West Texas National Bank accounts that hold the majority of all the city accounts. It authorizes us, of course, subject to what our depository contract is with the bank, the city's investment policies, our budget, and all the applicable laws. It allows us to continue to open, renew, maintain, modify, or closing these city bank accounts as needed. And it also lets us open a certificate of deposit, which is something new that we haven't had in any other resolutions. The reason that verbiage on the certificate of deposit's on there, because if you'll remember, at the last council meeting, we brought to you all to approve a letter of credit for our TCQ for our financial assurance. So that usually comes from our audits, but as our audits are behind, we need to open a certificate of deposit.
With that amount of money.
Yes, with that amount of money. So.
And I would want the bank to work through all the signature lines.
Yes, this resolution is also going to authorize us with dole authorization to update our signatories on the accounts. If you all have any questions.
We have to, is it once every 2 years we have to bid bank? This isn't related to that at all?
No, this is not related to that.
Just redoing the signatures.
Yes, this is updating who can do that right now. And it's allowing for the interim city manager, myself, the assistant city manager, and our assistant finance director. And of course, we have policies in place that when we do things like this that require dole authorization, so not just one single person can do those things, and it's updating that. And we do need to update our signatories. And this lets us, with dole action, update.
Any questions? Make a motion that we approve resolution number 260804.
I have a motion from Councilman Graham, a second from Councilman Arona to approve Resolution 26-08-04R as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Item F11, update on budget and tax rate calendar dates and public hearings, strategic goal 6, sound governance and fiscal management.
Mayor and council, in your packets, I do want to let you know that as it stands today, this is the budget and tax rate calendar that we're going to go by. With Ms. Nicole being the interim city manager, what we've been doing is, along with Nicole and the rest of the finance staff, we're actually taking a even deeper dive into our current budget right now. And we're trying to review if the tax rate we're proposing, if it can be more conservative than what we're proposing. I don't have a yes or no, but that is what we're doing right now. So this calendar is subject to change. But as it stands, this is what it'll look like.
But if we publish the tax rate we agreed to, but then we come in with a lower tax rate, is that okay? We don't have to republish this?
No, we don't have to republish. And of course, there's a lot of different thresholds, of course, as long as it's still not above the voter approval rate. And of course, we've clarified at our last meetings that everything is under the no new revenue rate, which is the rate we cannot exceed because of our audits.
Well, the thing that I was going to say is that, what we're looking at right now is what is the best decision that we can make for the residents of Pecos in this year, in this stabilizing year, looking forward. I mean, we understand that we're really staring down the barrel of a lot of bigger capital projects, maybe not in this coming year, but down the road. We do have some concerns in terms of not just this budget cycle. Reducing the rate has an impact down the road. And so we need to consider all of those factors. And I just want to say how impressed I have been with Heather and the finance staff and really bringing me up to speed in record time the last 3-4 days. I mean, I had been involved in the budget before, obviously, but at this level. But when the team came to me and said there may be an opportunity to provide some relief, I said, let's not get everyone excited, but let's explore it. And I think that regarding the calendar, what's important is that the calendar that Heather has presented to you is what I would call the conservative calendar, right? It's what we have to do should we not change from the de minimis where we were before. If we choose to adjust it, that calendar gets looser, not tighter. And so I don't want anyone to be concerned that we're missing deadlines due to this deep dive. But I just feel really, really privileged to be able to do that with this team. And I hope that we can come back to y'all with some really good news.
What's the deadline for this?
We would have
Tuesday.
Yes, we would have to have everything done, tax rate adopted and everything by the August 24th date.
No, but I mean, if you do lower it.
Oh, then it would extend it to I don't have the exact date, but it would be late September.
Okay.
But we will be bringing this back on Tuesday, the 18th, yes? Yes.
Yes, the budget hearing, and we'll go ahead and update the calendar. And it was just an update.
Thank you.
Okay, so item F12, discuss, consider authorizing the delivery of written notice of termination pursuant to the city manager's agreement, strategic goal 5, promote open and consistent communication. Do we need to go to executive session before we do this?
I know you had questions that you wanted answers to, so I think if you want to discuss that, yes. But otherwise, I mean, it's ready to go, but if you want me to discuss, what we talked about last time, I'm happy to.
Talked about last time, so maybe we need to, and then we can come back out and act on it. So we'll go ahead and go to executive session under Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, personnel matters, 551.074, real estate, and 551.087, economic development. It is 8:14 p.m. termination pursuant to the city manager agreement. Strategic Goal 5, promote open and consistent communication.
Mayor, make a motion that we mail, certified mail, and also email to, you have to name a person?
Just as stated on the agenda.
Huh?
Just read this.
City Secretary?
As stated on the agenda. You can just say as stated.
Yeah, just say as
Okay.
stated.
Oh, okay, for me to.
That's stated in the
Sorry,
agenda.
okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
I have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilman Graham, to authorize the delivery of the written notice of termination pursuant to the city manager contract. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Is there anything from executive session that needs to be brought to open session?
No, go ahead.
No, I'll make a motion to authorize, to accept the resignation letter from Betty Herrera and to authorize Heather Ramirez, the city manager, to review the applicants from the past, see if we can get another alternate judge. If not, then we'll post.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilman Carrasco, to accept the resignation of alternate municipal court judge Betty Herrera and authorize the search for to go through our current applications or post for another alternate judge. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Anything else from executive session? No? Okay. Go on to items for the next city council meeting.
Update on the revolving loan funds for CI for one or any current outstanding loans. Are we current? Where are we at? Just shooting in the dark on that one.
Okay, we'll put it on there. We'll have an update for you.
Huh?
He has an update, but we'll put it on the agenda.
Okay. Why are you turning red?
Nicole, can you get your staff to do, like on this infrastructure plan, forecast, priority, what needs to really be done and work down, and maybe an estimate, just an estimate, not to be exact, but estimate cost.
Yes, and we can absolutely bring back a projection of what projects we see upcoming. We have some cost, very, very loose estimates right now, broad budget numbers, but the CIP itself will have more specifics.
I just kind of want some kind of idea where we stand.
Yes, I believe we can do that.
If we're making any progress there. So,
Yeah.
also, I'd like on the agenda next time, a forensic, to start advertising for forensic audit.
We also need to create guidelines for our executive director of the PEDC.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have some ideas, so.
We can get together on that, and I can't guarantee we'll bring that back on the 27th. It might be the first one in
Right,
September,
but
just to give us some time.
But if we're going to supervise him, we need him to have guidelines and benchmarks so we can monitor that.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we're gonna do that as well. Is there gonna be any conflict of interest for our underboards to look over all our underboards and audit our boards moving forward in the future to make sure that we have some kind of conflict of interest forms that we can discuss more in detail?
You want us to do an evaluation of all of our boards and commissions to make sure that there aren't any existing conflicts of interest? I think that.
Or if we have any conflict of interest that we can incorporate in the near future. This
Yes.
is not, it doesn't have to be in the next council meeting. but
Yeah,
moving forward.
I think we can take
It
it.
currently is already attached into the board and commissions application. The last page on the application, which is, you can also see it on our website, there is a conflict of interest form already attached.
What I will suggest is that we can incorporate a summary of any conflicts of interest that have been disclosed in the new weekly council memo that you all will be receiving. And if you all feel like that warrants an agenda item, we can raise it to such.
I'd like to see if we can also do it for council and anybody that applies for our boards to a full disclosure also, but also the council and directors.
Yes.
Full disclosure of any, that we need.
Yes. Yes. It's required for staff and.
I'd like to see it for
council.
council as well.
Okay. We'll go ahead and update that whole list and submit a report to you.
Interest.
Zero money.
I wish I
Zero
did.
funds.
So anything else for next council meeting or a future council meeting? Okay, so we will adjourn, and it is 9:22 p.m.